Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, my weekly series where I talk anything that kind of comes to mind. Last week, I kind of talked about my phrase, the music will always change, the skills needed to play the music never change. This week, I'm going to talk about a phrase that I've kind of come to the conclusion through a journey of personal growth, which is consistent effort over time equals success. Now, the truth is, I'm sure someone else has coined that phrase. I've heard its variations or similar things, but it's the personal mantra that I use to just kind of remind myself that everything worth pursuing takes consistent effort, obviously. And it's also a reminder that it usually takes more time, right, over time. But the real thing I'm going to analyze or dissect is this idea of equal success. So I'm going to start these. I have a timer going to try to keep me on track. But what I'm going to start with is this idea of early in my journey as a horn player. If you had asked me as an undergrad, how would I have defined success? It would have been simple. Playing in the Chicago Symphony or equivalent, right? Having a job as a horn player. And yet, at no point have I even come close to that in my own personal journey. And life, like many people out there in the world, has thrown a lot of curveballs. I've changed direction many times. But I've never stopped pursuing my love of playing the horn. And I've consistently, over 30 years, tried to grow, tried to unravel the secrets. Basically, I've just persevered into a place where I have a deeper understanding of how the horn works. And so if you use my consistent effort over time equals success formula or mantra, I have fulfilled the consistent effort over time. But then comes the equal success. So what is so difficult is we live in a world, maybe less so than in the past, but in general that kind of has a fixation on credentialism. The idea that you can only be of worth if you have the right piece of paper or the right title. And so one of the things that I've grown in as a person is that I've learned to define success in different ways. And so, and this is the advice I'm trying to give in this, is the idea that when we are going on a journey, that we can define success hundreds of different ways. We could literally define success as, I tried playing this etude on the horn. It didn't go very well. I put in the effort needed and I mastered it. You are successful, right? Part of it too is, by definition, if you keep giving effort towards something, you could define yourself. You could look in the mirror and say, I'm successful. So why I'm pushing this right now is, again, I've kind of had to struggle with my own insecurities. I've had to struggle with my own, I guess you'd say, wrestling with how my life has unfolded. Yet, on a lot of metrics, a lot of ways you could measure is, I could look in the mirror and say you're successful. I've had successful students. I mean, obviously this is my own bias, but like, I think I'm a successful father, and I think that, or I should say, I'm continually striving to be successful. But when it comes to a horn, like being a horn player, the reason I know that I'm successful is that I've persevered over time, but my definition of success has changed over time. Like, I know at this point in my life that I will probably never win a Chicago Symphony audition, or whatever, the equivalent of that. But I know I can teach the horn. I know that I can present recitals at a high level. I know that I can play the horn well. It's just now that I've gotten older, or wiser, I hope, is that how I measure success has changed. And so again, I'm kind of using this as the thing I want to just help with any students that are struggling, is that success, the definition of success will evolve with you on your journey. I mean, in a weird way, I no longer even desire to win that type of job. I have responsibilities as a father. Part of it is finding your calling. And I'm in a place in my journey where I kind of realize that my calling isn't going to be an orchestral musician full time. I definitely hope that is a big part of it. I dabble in composition. I am obsessed with the idea of process. How do I help students overcome struggles? How do I help them earlier on? I've realized this. One of the reasons I'm also successful is because I keep persevering. So one of the things that has happened over time is I've developed wisdom and tricks and stuff on how to help students earlier in the process. So one of the defining characteristics of me as a teacher and why I have any level of success is that all I've done is reflect on 30 years of playing, learn tips and tricks, learn how to break things down, create resources, and basically introduce all the lessons of life, horn playing and more, to students younger, which then by definition means I'm setting them up to be more successful than me. And therein lies kind of the wrapping up of this video is, by definition, if I have students or can influence other people or can be a mentor to other people and they can be more successful, or even my son, my daughter, like if I can help them become more successful than I have done my job. I have lived out this idea of consistent effort over time equals success. And, again, I think for many of us, if we're not careful, we could define success as this one thing. And obviously there are people that are single-minded and aim at that and they accomplish that, and man, kudos to them and more power to them, and I'd be proud of them. But as I live more life and reflect upon life, I realize that like success is a multitude of things. It's a convergence of many different areas of being a good person and being dependable and having insight and wisdom and following through and being a man of character, etc., etc. So anyway, with this second week of Wisdom Wednesdays, I just would like to share kind of that mantra, how it applied to me, how it's evolved with me, and just wish all of you, if you come across this, the best of luck. And I do think that if you have this mindset of consistent effort over time equals success, I think it kind of always works. Definition of success will evolve and change over time, but I think it's a great, simple mantra that I hope more people would adopt. With that being said, see you in the next video.